Chilling in Another World with Level 2 Super Cheat Powers, Chapter 3. So the demon introduces herself as one of the Sisters of the Generals, and all the members of this group freeze up. She does a kinda aura thing, and they all fall to the ground. Everyone except Fleo. And she's like, She's surprised that he can defend against her Milicium, and she gets a bit excited. She's like, finally someone with meat on their bones. She attacks, and he dodges, and he knows he needs to fight, but he doesn't know any spells. So the first thing he decides to do is to test something out. He tries to see if he can cast magic without touching the window or the notification system, and he does. He's able to cast teleportation magic on all of the girls and send them back to the city. The demon is surprised, and she's like, wait, why didn't you just leave with them? And he isn't really interested in leaving. He doesn't want to die, but he has to figure out the fight and stuff anyway, so he decides to stay. He does the only thing that makes sense to him in the moment, which is try every spell one by one until something works. So the first one he tries is a gravity spell, and it pretty much knocks her down. And of course she wasn't expecting that, so she's pretty pissed. And he's in a bit of a problem because he can feel her pushing back against the gravitation magic and she's about to break free. And he's like, I need to keep holding her down so that I can figure out the rest of the spells. As he's thinking about that, a notification pops up, a suggestion. Subjugate her. You have that type of magic. And he's like, subjugation? But then he thinks back to his old world about how the demi-humans and how they got treated badly and stuff like that. He doesn't want to subjugate anybody. So he's like, nah, not that. Anything but that. And she's getting closer and closer to breaking free. And he's like, nah, I'm not trying to do that. It doesn't matter what world I'm in, I'm never doing that. But luckily for him, he held out just long enough that she decided to give up. She's like, I yield, kill me. And he's like, I'm not really interested in killing you. He lets her free and she's like, are you really going to let me free? I'm your enemy and all. And he's like, I'm not from here. I have no enemies. I don't really care. You can go. And it seems like she ran out of magic, so she goes back into a human form and, he's a bit flustered or whatever. And he's like, listen, you can go whenever you want to, so long as you promise not to attack humans anymore. And she's like, okay, cool. My life is yours in exchange for the mercy you've shown me. And he's like, no, hold on a sec. I don't want that. And she begs him, he refuses, and it gets to the point where she's like, okay, then I'll just off myself. And he immediately folds. He's like, okay, yeah, never mind. You can be my servant or whatever. Just don't do that. Moving on. As he's thinking about the consequences of his actions, she collapses. Her MP went to 0 and she went into a sleep mode. Now he needs to think of a cover story for the both of them and why they're together. It's night now and he put her in a tent and she wakes up in the middle of the night and sees him outside just dabbling away on his screen. She comes out and she calls him master and he's like, I really can't get used to this whole master thing. So instead of calling me master, I thought up of something else. Is it okay if you called me husband instead? Be my wife. In name only, of course, just so nobody thinks it's weird that we're together, And she could not be happier. She is literally a part of the demon army and she just basically just gave the whole thing away to serve under this guy. Acceptable. And just to make sure she understands the situation, he does something interesting. He shows her his actual face, and to me there's not much difference, but hey, you gotta be honest. Then he explains to her his situation about how he's a hero candidate, but they kind of just abandoned him. And he has no idea what he's doing or where he's going, but with knowing all of that, do you still want to be my wife? And she's like, hell yeah, why not? I swear to stay devotedly by your side for as long as we live. And that's that. And here's the last part of chapter 3. The army that the king sent to the south with the other hero, they run into some problems. And this hero is trash. He is not a hero, bro. So he's fighting and they expect him, well, he's not really fighting. He's just standing there being protected and they're looking to him for, leadership. And he's like, nah, I'm not dying here. So he sacrifices all the men basically just so he can escape. Trash.